Good afternoon. Thank you so much, Jamie and the staff at Journey. What a great church we have, and this opportunity to come together. And I've definitely been able in the past to get a lot of benefit from these meetings. So hopefully you'll get some tidbits today from me. So let me work on my technology here. Okay. So my name is Kristi Alford-Haarberg. I am the founder, CEO, and president of E2 Optics. So let me tell you what E2 Optics is. Excellence times experience and fiber optics, okay? So we are a low voltage IT integrator. So our business is to provide connectivity to data centers, office buildings, hospitals. In our world today, we all run off the cloud. And in other words, you could look at us and say, we are building the cloud for today's businesses. So it's very exciting. And yes, we still get calls to our front office asking if they can have an eye appointment and order some glasses, okay? It still happens. Okay. So I want to take an opportunity to kind of educate you a little bit about E2 and what we do. I founded the company in January of 2010 with about $12,000 in my savings account. And from there, we have grown as a startup. We have received zero outside equity, no capital investments in the company. We've self-funded our company. Every penny we made went back into the company to sustain our growth. We have had tremendous growth. We are in our 12th year of operations, and we will probably end this year over 150 million plus in revenue. So that's pretty impressive. Thank you. Wow. Thank you. Okay, so I wanted to kind of show you here. We are a woman-owned business, which is very unique. We're in a very male-dominated industry, right? If you kind of think about how the pendulum has changed over the last 15, 20 years, you're probably more familiar with electricians, right? Electricians, like electrical companies, they would be the ones throwing in the low voltage. Not anymore, because it's so paramount to business and how we run our world today. So we do low voltage. This gives you an idea here, the picture. This is some fiber optic cable in a very, very large hyperscale data center. This is the picture below is before, and then that's what it looks like when we've done our installation. Our truck right here gives you an example of a large construction site. So if you think about E2, we're technology driven, but we're also in construction. These sites are some of the largest sites in the world. We service some of the largest customers in the world, such as Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Meta, and many, many more. And so the hyperscale data center business is a huge part of our business, and we are leading the charge in innovation and delivery. So it's exciting what our teams have done. Another little, everything low voltage, right? Everything in here, all this AV, the security camera. So it's not just infrastructure, anything that rolls on low voltage, which is also all our wireless WAPs, okay? So we provide all those services, design, build, installation, and maintenance. This is exciting down here in the corner is the Gaylord. Has anybody been to the Gaylord? Have you been in the sports bar? Well, great. Did you like that video screen? That's an E2 Optics design build. So our audio-visual team designed that and installed it. It is the largest in our state. So really exciting to talk about that. Currently today, when we started, it was myself, Casey, and Ed, so 3 people, and then Carrie shortly thereafter, and then Ty. Thanks for coming today, guys. Is that we have 1,000 employees today from coast to coast with 15 branch locations, Denver being our corporate location. And I've talked about our capabilities. Is there any questions on that? You can send your text message. I just want to provide a Quip Map. This gives you just a visual. I'm a very visual person. So this is a visual location of all of our branch locations that we've expanded to. And I can't tell you, when I started the company, I didn't have any plans to be outside of Denver. So this is a good visual to see what God can do in your lives and in your businesses when you have Him as your foundation. And this is really what I'm going to get down to talk about today. I wanted to share what E2 Optics' core values are. This is what we live by. This is how we work every day. If you take a look at the core values, obviously safety is right in the middle. As a construction company, we have to make sure everybody's safe. But you look at those core values, and they were developed on the foundation of biblical principles. I believe that, we do things right, we're going to have reward. And this is what has developed E2 into such an incredible company and culture that people want to come work. And our employees even came up with their own slogan, E2 Lifer. I didn't come up with that. They're like, this is the best company I've ever worked for. I'm going to be here for life. I don't want to work anywhere else. That's the type of culture we want as leaders, right? That's what we want our teams to be saying about us. And it's really based on our performance and how we lead that leads them to that. One little exciting tidbit I forgot to mention on the last page is that, has anybody ever heard of Military Makeover on Lifetime Television? Well, we did. We have check it out if you can. They are highlighting E2 Optics. It's an outreach to veterans and military personnel around the country. It's hosted by Montel Williams, and it was really fun, and we were really excited to do that. So hopefully you'll see us on there. They're going to run it 300 times, I believe. So, okay. So today I'm going to focus on 5 traits of a successful leader. And I'm sure all of you have heard and understand some of the traits we're going to talk about, but I'm going to share my personal experiences in my journey of being a leader and a top leader in our industry in the United States. The first trait is confidence, okay? It is so important that your employees see and feel your confidence. Right? None of us can follow anybody if they have a lack of confidence, right? And so exuding that confidence consistently provides a safe place for your employees and your teammates. When you exude confidence, you are driving passion, excitement, involvement. And it's also very encouraging to your teams to be aligned with a company that is confident in what their mission is, right? Confident in the goals and strategies that they have set forth. When a leader is confident, it breeds confidence in your employees. And I know at E2, what's special about us is that I get really rewarded to see all the leaders and management of my company grow in their leadership skills, right? It's giving back to them, and they need to have someone that they can rely on that can instill confidence in them. Give them the opportunity to develop their confidence so they can become the next generation of leaders. Confidence in your team empowers your people. Right? I mean, I can see it when we uplift, when you can do this, encourage them. It is very, very empowering. Without confidence, you cannot be respected, right? You cannot be respected or held in esteem unless you have confidence. And I'm not talking about ego. I'm not talking about I'm the greatest person in the room. I can tell you in my business, I'm not the smartest person in my company. I know that. But I know enough to surround myself with great leadership, right? And I have the confidence in myself to do so. So it's not ego here. And you want to be respected. You have to. If you're going to be a successful leader, you have to be respected and esteemed by those who work beside you and with you on a daily basis. I believe that your success will be determined by your confidence, right? If you don't have the confidence to step out, you are not going to have success. So confidence breeds success. I'll give you a little personal story for me that I really didn't know back in my early 20s that I had confidence. Well, I did. I'm a highly competitive person. But I'm from Texas. I'm from the Woodlands, Texas, Houston. I have a huge Texas family. No one has ever left the great state of Texas in my family. And as a young girl getting into my career, right out of college, I came to Colorado and something changed in my heart and in my spirit. And I just felt a pull that I wanted to live in the state of Colorado. And I knew zero people, zero. I was just starting in my career, and I didn't know what my future held. I surely can tell you that I didn't know I'd be standing in front of you running a $150 million a year business, okay? But there was a confidence inside of me, and I listened to my heart, my spirit, and I stepped out in confidence. And I look back now, and I'm like, how did I do that? That makes me a little nervous and scared. But see, I didn't. I had this confidence inside of me that said, go, and I trusted in God that he was going to provide for me. And it was hard, but I'm so thankful that I did, because look what he's done in my life today by making that move. Now, my family did almost, abandoned me. They were not happy about it, but now they all love to come, and I can't get them away now. They're always visiting. So anyway, so just an example of confidence that maybe sometimes as a leader, maybe you don't feel very confident, right? Maybe we're down. Being leaders is difficult sometimes. So I just want to encourage you all to keep that confidence. Another funny story in our industry, you have to have manufacturer partners, and you have to be in their program if you're going to be successful, because you can't provide warranties. You can't provide service and installation capabilities unless you're in these programs. Well, back in March of January 2010, when I started the business, I just marched in and met with the top manufacturers in our area and sat down and told them who I was and what I was going to do with my business. Hadn't even booked an order yet. Told them exactly how I was going to do it. I was going to get my 8A. I was going to be one of their number one partners. And there was about 12 gentlemen who since now are my good friends. And little to me did I know that they were really kind of laughing. They're like, who does this girl think she is? She has no idea we're not going to let her in our program. I mean, this is a joke. She's probably going to be bankrupt in 3 months. They have since told me that. But, thank goodness that I didn't operate in fear. I operated in confidence. And I walked forward knowing what I needed to do to establish our company in the proper way. So, again, I just want to leave you confidence. I know it's tested sometimes in leadership, but just make sure you maintain that. It's very important in our business. The second trait I want to talk about is faith. I think we all in this room know what faith is, and we have a tremendous amount of faith in our life. I don't know if you noticed on our core values, that's one of our core values is faith. It's the one I get asked the question of most, like, faith in your core values. Well, I have to put it there because I know there's times in my life that my faith was smaller than a mustard seed, but I do, through my relationship, my walk with the Lord, my faith has been stretched, tested, and grown, and it's the most important thing in my life. Because we all know that faith is being sure of what we don't see, right? Being confident in the future when you can't see that. It's trusting in God, a higher power than yourself. It's having faith that your vision, your mission, your strategies are aligned properly and that God will provide. When the world, it doesn't look like he will. Faith, for me, I'll share a personal story, is through tithing. As a young 20-year-old here in Colorado, I started making friends, started working. My career took off. But when I was growing up, out of college, I thought, I'm going to have 5 boys, go to football games, be married, happily married. And as my life and my career kept growing, that didn't happen for me. And the next thing I know, I was being successful at work, right? I was recognized for top salesperson, and I enjoyed all of that. But at the same time, in my personal life, there was a lot of loneliness. And all of my friends were getting married. Now they're buying their first house, having their first child, and I'm alone. And there was a little bit of upsetness of, Lord, why are you leaving me behind, right? But all I knew is to go back to the foundation of the word. And tithing, for some reason, became very, very important to me. And I didn't like it because here I'm lonely. Now I'm out to give you money. I mean, it was not a good time in my life. But I look back now and I see how God works by faith of stretching you. And I honestly believe that's why I am a CEO today, is because of my faithfulness in tithing. It has allowed me to make sure that I don't let money or greed come. It's because when we're successful, right, usually money follows, but that's not really my driving force. It's establish a relationship to where I keep solid with my Heavenly Father because He's first in my life, because I put Him above my money. And even with all the success I have today, that is my firm foundation. And so I know each and every one of you have your own testimony and your story about faith, but you have to have faith to be a successful leader. The world is a tough world, especially the one we live in today after this pandemic. You have to have belief and faith, not only in yourself and your God, but in your people, right? And belief in what you're doing in your business. A lot of barriers to entry, as I talked about. I mean, I started the company, couldn't get a banking relationship. They're laughing me out as a woman. But I held true, and I didn't let fear come in. I held on to my faith. And look how it's ended up. And a lot of people want to have a piece of the pie at E2. They want to put their money in, and I'm like, we got a lot of sweat equity in this. Okay, we're here to take care of our people. And especially having faith in a high-growth company like ourselves, I'll be real honest with you, right around 2014, 15, boy, we were growing like crazy, as we still are today. Some things happened. We had some jobs that weren't profitable. We had some losing jobs. We grew too fast. We opened some branch locations probably a little bit prematurely, right? There's the number one killer of small businesses, growing too fast, okay? So, and it happened to us, and it did not look good. And the writing was on the wall. Our bank was about to drop us. They're like, sorry, we cannot give you a line of credit anymore. It was real ugly. It was real ugly, and it was very scary. But there was something inside me that I said, God would not have brought me this far to let me fail, right? And I had to draw into that faith by myself. No one could do it for me. I had to do it by myself internally, and I had to tap into that faith and know that maybe I can't see a way today, but God's going to provide a way. And ultimately, He did. So faith is extremely important as a leader. And I highly recommend that you communicate that to your teams and also in your private lives. It's made a huge impact in my life. All right, the next trait is communication. Well, I'm a big talker. I'm sure most of you are too if you're a leader. But communication is so important as a business owner and leader that I have recognized that communication draws collaboration, right? And you have to have strong, effective, and thorough, detailed communication to your teams if you're going to be successful. Great communication, open communication drives teamwork and that collaboration, right? You have to communicate your mission, your vision, your strategy, your quarterly goals, your annual goals, your 3-year roadmap, your 5-year roadmap. And you got to communicate that to the team so they can be held accountable, but also be part of that success. And you can't do it if you're not communicating with them. And communication is a must internally, right? You have to lead your teams. They have to hear from you. And I'm a big believer of them hearing from me in person. I love to go visit our branches. I love to hug our people, talk to our people, listen to our people. That was my point down here, and I'm getting ahead of myself, is that communication is a two-way street. It's not just a leader communicating down. It's allowing your team to communicate back to you. And if you're a really good communicator, then you need to be a really good listener, right? I know for me that we have created an atmosphere of entrepreneurialism at E2. And what does that mean? That means that I want to hear from different people, different job descriptions, what their roles are. I want them to think outside the box. I encourage them to think outside the box and bring new, fresh ideas. Right? Those two, a safe place where they can open up and communicate with you. Like our technicians who are craftsmen and women, you saw what they do. I mean, this is high-tech stuff. A technician knows more about his job and those processes, the quality and safety around that, better than I do. He does it every day. I don't, right? I want to hear from him. What can we do to make your job better? Are there processes that we've implemented that are inefficient, ineffective? Do you have any ideas of how we can make your job better? That is the type of communication I'm talking about. Hearing from your people and listening to them as well. So your communication as a leader, I found, because most leaders are probably type A personalities and they talk a lot. They like to talk about themselves a lot. But your communication has to be consistent too. The message has to be consistent. So be courteous as you're coming with any of your goals, vision. Make sure it's consistent and that you're sending the same message throughout the entire organization. So communication is key. All right. This is probably another one of the top traits of a successful leader is integrity. At the end of the day, integrity means honesty, right? It means that you operate in a high moral character in all that you do. Your decision making, you make sound decisions that are based on integrity. Some characteristics of integrity that I found interesting that apply to myself and our company is that when you walk in integrity, you value other people's time, right? You value your employees' time when you have integrity. You give credit where credit is due, right? You're authentic. You're always honest. And you give people the benefit of the doubt. You know, people aren't perfect. I'm surely not perfect. So giving people the benefit of the doubt. Be dependable. Have good judgment. Let's be honest here. I mean, as leaders, we've all been tempted to take a shortcut, to do something that's not on the up and up. Maybe it would have been a time when I was fearful that we weren't making money, we were losing money, and my company could go bankrupt. And there's plenty of people out there in this world pressuring us to make decisions that are more immediate than what the long term is. Some of those I've been offered from, believe it or not, customers that wanted to be paid under the table in exchange for millions of dollars of business. That was a tough decision because I had a relationship there, right? So how was I going to handle that as a leader? Was I going to take the easy road that may have got me out, or was I going to stand in integrity? And I know each and every one of you in this room have faced that same thing. It's all around us, the temptation, the option to just get away with a little something. So I'll share with you, too, that we had an employee. It's been with us 8 years. Very talented individual. Had many promotions. Recognized, very high level. And we found out earlier this year that this individual stole over $1 million from my company. Ouch, right? And so what he was doing, since we're in the cabling business, we're installing primarily copper and fiber cabling. And so we buy all of our materials through big distributors. And so our higher level managers have the authority to place those material orders and either have it drop shipped to the job site, or they can go pick up a piece or two if they need it. And what we found out in a very short amount of time, we started noticing all of these huge orders being applied to these random jobs that he wasn't even on. So he was putting these costs on different jobs throughout the company. So when we'd notice it over here in this region, let me move that cost and I'll put it over here. So he fixed this problem and now he just added it to that job. And then what's really funny is that he had a company vehicle, which I gotta believe he knew it had a GPS tracker on it. And this is how we were able to find out. So we finally caught on to it through our controls and processes that we have in our company. And thank goodness, right? Because he was sneaky. And he would go pull up to these distributors and get thousands and thousands of pounds of bare copper. And everybody knows bare copper is a commodity. And so he'd go take it to the metal recycling. They'd cut him a check. I think he made probably, $600,000-$700,000 off of our copper. So, when you think about integrity, you think about that. And when someone doesn't walk in integrity, think about how much it hurts everybody else. right? It not only hurt our company, thank goodness, I will let you know, we found out, thanks to Carrie Mitleiter and our great legal team, we actually have employee theft insurance. I didn't even know that. So God covered us on that, and we will get that covered back to us. And we are going to walk in integrity and prosecute that, because I don't want to do it to anybody else. But his effect has ripple effects when you don't walk in integrity. You know, the folks on the job, it hurt them. It slowed down our delivery, you know. And so integrity determines the health of your relationships. And also, when you walk in integrity, right, we're walking upright. Because I can sleep at night, right? If you have integrity and you're making right decisions, I have to get sleep. And the older I get, I realize how important sleep is. But we walk upright. And when you're walking upright, you're looking forward. And you're making decisions that are going to look later down the road. You're not looking right here at the immediate that might be making you fearful, or you might have a need, right? So think about that as a leader. It is so imperative for all the people, too. I have 1,000 employees, and it's growing. They're dependent upon me. They're dependent on me and our executive leadership team and the sound decisions we make, the integrity we make. If we don't make good decisions, sound decisions, their livelihoods are at stake. Their families they need to feed. There's a huge responsibility in leadership, and integrity has to be at the front of that. And the last one is passion. I hope that you've heard some passion from me today. I definitely know this is a personal trait that I carry, is passion. I've heard it from customers from day one, partners from day one, and I have the most passionate people on the planet that work at E2. And, you know, passion is often connected to purpose, right? And everybody, individual, has to have a purpose in their life that breeds happiness, success, reward, to get you up in the morning. Everybody in a leadership, you should love what you do. And if you love what you do, you love the people you do it with. You love the people that you serve. And ultimately, it brings great value to so many people. You know, passionate people in your organization, you should look for them when you're hiring. They are more productive typically. If you're passionate about what you do, you're going to go the extra mile. You're going to want to work a little bit harder because you are more productive. Passionate people make great teammates, right? Because they're excited. They want to collaborate. They have passion for the end result. They typically have positive attitudes. They're motivated. And at the end of the day, that passion makes impacts in your business, in your personal relationships. And so don't lose your passion, because let's be honest, as leaders here, it is challenging, right? I mean, I would not be honest with you and walk in integrity if I told you that every day is so great and it's just wonderful being a top woman CEO in this day and time. No, it's not every day. It's very rewarding, yes. But I would say that, it's very challenging. It's very hard. There's days that I'm exhausted and I don't feel like I have that passion. But my passion is what keeps me going. And even on those hard days, I would encourage you as leadership, we always want to be honest with our people, but try to always put that passion first in your communication and how you lead your teams. So I'm going to leave you today with a scripture that I brought, Proverbs 16:3. Commit your work to the Lord and your plans will be established. And that can't be more true to me and my life of what God has done in my life, and that my commitment and faithfulness to the Lord has made such impacts in my life and everywhere I go. And so I hope that you take that away with you, and I hope that some of these traits, I know they're, words that we've all heard before, but I hope some of my personal experiences that I've shared here today may give you a little tidbit. If you're in this room today and you're struggling in your leadership position, or things aren't looking great, right? You've got some big decisions to make. I would just encourage you to keep the faith, to stay true to your core values, right? Press forward with confidence, and you can achieve the impossible and reach your goals. And I can tell you, if a little 5'1" Texas girl can do it, all of you can do it. So thank you very much. Is there any questions, Jamie?
The audience here says, how do you balance confidence with honesty when things are not well and your team needs to know the negatives?
Whew, that's a good question. Well, I would just say that it is a delicate road to walk. For me, I'm always honest with my employees. Good, bad, or ugly. We're going to face those challenges together when it applies with whatever management leadership group. My confidence has been shaken, but I really tie like confidence and faith together for me, right? Because my confidence comes from the Lord and that comes from my faith. And I just fall on my knees and ask for guidance from God. And I like to collaborate too with the team, right? I don't make the decisions we make in this company. I'm the final say. Yes, I have that responsibility, and that's a large responsibility. But the collaboration with that specific group or that management team or my executive team, that collaboration, communication is extremely important. Like I said, I'm not the smartest person in the room. But I think that you have to collaborate. You have to sleep on, pray on what your decisions are when things don't look good. And you have to keep the faith and don't be shaken. One of the things, I'm fearless, right? Don't operate in fear. Don't let fear come in. Go back to your foundation, which is the word of God. It is for me, right? The Bible. Go back to where, see what God has to say about your situation. And then I would say, take your time. I never make a rash decision. I have to pray about it. I have to collaborate, no matter how difficult it is, and sleep on it. My dad always said, sleep on your decisions. So it's a delicate balance, and it's difficult. But if you're cognizant of it, right, then I think you will get through it all.
Okay, next question is, thank you for being with us, presenting, Kristi. What is your single biggest challenge you face for your company going forward?
Oh, great question. Our number one challenge is people power. And I say that because we're a very exclusive, dynamic team, so it's not manpower anymore. I call it people power. But it's talent, right? It's people coming to work. It's finding the right talent that has the right work ethic, right? Has the right culture. We interview for culture, not certifications, right? Because anybody can get certifications, but if you don't have a good culture fit for us, it's not going to work out. So when we interview through our recruiting, we look for culture first. Obviously, we want to vet for talent, but our number one challenge is people power, is staffing our jobs. Our pipeline is full, especially due to the hyperscale and other large hospitals and things around the country. We've got a lot of business. It would not be surprising to me if within the next 24 months, we're well over 250 million with the pipeline that we've been given, the customers that have invested in us and giving us forecasts like we've never had before. The challenge is, how do you find those people? How do you attract them? And so that goes back really to the core values which drove our culture. And that's where we have a winning advantage. That's why we're a disruptor, because we're different. We're not like the traditional businesses. We have a different culture that people are attracted to because they're respected, they're admired, they're treated, as a team and, very family centric. So yes, that is our number one challenge.
All right. Okay. Next question is, how have you maintained a healthy family and marriage work-life balance? Working so closely with your husband, how have you been able to maintain your lives as a couple and as business partners?
Well, who said we do? No, I'm just joking. My gosh, of course. First of all, all those years I want to get married. Once I got married, I was like, oh my God, why did I say I want to get married? No, I'm just joking. No, it is difficult, right? It is difficult. And Casey and I have had challenges, because I'm passionate about E2, and I want to talk about E2 all the time, okay? And it's such a huge part of our life because it's our baby, right? It's our baby. And so we've struggled in our relationship. At times we've identified that we have to take time out for us and not talk about work, right? Now, the lucky thing that's actually been a benefit for us to be able to work together is that our passions are aligned. He's just as passionate about our business as I am. So when your passions align, right, you're excited, you get to share in that. But it is a constant struggle. I know for me personally, I struggle sometimes to put myself first, which is crazy because I feel like I'm a very vain person. But I know that, I really kind of put my business, or if there's a fire going on, I'm going to drop everything personally and take care of the fire that's going on in the company. So it's a fine line. We have to focus and keep God the center of our relationship. And so couples that pray together, play together, stay together. And so we just try to keep doing it. But it's not easy, especially through the years. We're about to have our 12-year anniversary. But it does seem to get better to me every year. So.
Talk about your confidence a lot, and which I love. You can see, but even in your confidence, you're confident in God as well to come through on your behalf. But and you talk about instilling that in your other leaders. So how do you do that? How do you build confidence, especially in younger leaders?
That's a great question. I don't know how well I do that, but I try to. For me personally, I love people. And like I said earlier, I get a lot of reward by seeing other people achieve things in their life, because I feel like I had a little bit of something to give them a platform, right? A way or a promotion. Just recently, we're 12 years old. We just now have a VP of operations, okay? We are a small business, not anymore a small business. But, watching those people and instilling that confidence, and this individual who is like wicked smart, okay, so great at operations, he would not be able to stand up here and speak. Okay, so like 3 years ago, we had to do these QBRs for Facebook account, and it was like he could not speak, and he's wildly intelligent. But, working with him and seeing that, that's an area that I could help him with, and spending some time and actually investing your time in that, you should see him today. He loves it. He would be able to get up here and speak today. And to see that growth is very rewarding. So I think you have to have a love of people. I think you have to take time, right, to give back, because I surely have been given a lot and had great mentors in my life. And so you have to have a strong team around you to support you to build that confidence.
Was there anything in particular that you did with him? Did you just say, hey, you got to do it, you got to get out there, you got to try it, and then get feedback, or,
yes, I pushed him out of his comfort zone. I worked with him, right? And he was honest. I'm fearful of this, right? Like this, I'm not comfortable with that. And so I spent time with him, and encouraged him. And then as he took baby steps, this is when I remember the next QBR we worked prior to that QBR and kind of went through. So he was very confident in the messaging and wasn't going to get flustered because he was on camera, or speaking live. And then just complimenting after, right? Really uplifting them afterwards. He made huge progress from QBR to QBR. So just that encouragement, feedback, right? I think taking a moment to take the time to give feedback to people is very important, because maybe you see it from a different perspective, right? And so it can be encouraging, and all of that growth as an individual leads to confidence.
And this is the next question, so it feeds perfectly into that, is what does feedback look like in your organization? How does that flow? Is it organized? Is there reviews? Is it ongoing, continual? Some of the best organizations are a culture of feedback, and they're not afraid of it, even though sometimes it stings or it hurts. So what does feedback look like in your work culture?
Yes, that's great. So it takes many facets, okay? So the way we're organized with all our branch locations, we have a leader at each branch location called a regional operations manager. They're responsible for that local team and the team spirit and the feedback of what's going on within that. We also have HR. We give reviews and have been doing this for every year at March. So and we've honed in and made it even better every year, right, as we get better at that. So review time is very huge. That's our opportunity to give feedback, positive or negative, but hopefully we always have a positive to say, and then talk about career pathing, right? Like, what do you want to get to the next phase? Here's the training you need to do. Here's, what we need to do to accomplish your goals. It's not easy. I mean, there's some people that you can't make. I've learned this. You can't make all people happy all the time. I tried to. It doesn't work, okay? I mean, even with my glowing personality, it doesn't. People are people, and they're going to do what they say. So I've learned to accept that you can't please everybody. But it's really more of the communication, like at that local level, where they can give feedback to multiple areas of leadership. So, because I always say when I go out to meet with them, I'm like, if I don't know it's broke, how can I fix it? If you don't tell me that something's not going good here or that there's an issue, I have to know about it. So I think just our whole culture from day one is just that safe place to communicate and just say, hey, hold on a minute, I'm not liking this, or I have a conflict over here, or, I don't like my manager's style, all the different things that you can get. But I just think you have to create an atmosphere that you have to keep reiterating that it's an open door policy, right? That you need to give us feedback and give them avenues. We do surveys, we do the reviews. So we have team meetings every week for all different parts, team members, and then larger team meetings, company meetings. So it's just that constant touch point, right, that people will start opening up, hopefully, and communicate more.
Great answer. We have a couple more questions left. Here's one. If you knew how hard it was going to be at the beginning, do you think you would have taken the steps of faith that you did?
Probably not. I will tell you, if I knew then what I know now, I would have been scared to death. So that's good that God had blinders on me because I did get through it. But I have to be honest, there have been days that I thought I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it. Some of the legal challenges, personnel challenges, money problems, unhappy employees, high growth, bank issues. I mean, all the things that you face as a leader. No, I probably wouldn't have. It's a good thing he didn't disclose that to me.
But how do you encourage the folks maybe in the room today that are facing a huge challenge? Maybe they can see some of the challenges they're going to face. Maybe they don't even know what's ahead, but how you continue to keep going and didn't give up on your dream.
Right. I mean, I have to go back to the faith message. I have to go back to God. I mean, I'm a high achiever. I'm a confident person. I'm a competitive person. Doesn't mean you're not going to get knocked down. But I just always have to go back to my firm foundation, and that's my faith, right? And if I know in my heart that I'm doing the right thing, and I'm not doing it for selfish reasons, I'm not doing it to make a lot more money, I'm doing the right thing, there's just that faith. And like I said, I always go back to my foundation. What does God say about that situation, right? And listen, God always shows up, but he never shows up when you want him to. He just shows up in the nick of time, okay? I mean, the last minute of the last hour, the last second, right? And so because I've been fortunate to actually see God move mountains in my business, I've seen it. I mean, we got our first Microsoft data center up in Cheyenne, Wyoming. It was over a $5 million project. We were 2 years old. Our whole annual revenues were under $3 million. I mean, how does that happen? I mean, obviously they didn't do their due diligence in our financials, but I mean, my goodness, and we performed, right? So I've seen mountains move. I've seen breakthroughs. I've seen people show up at our doorstep. Ed Casey and I, we did all the interviewing in the company up until about 7 years ago. But I've literally had people show up, reach out to our doorstep. There were like high-end project managers, and I didn't know that I needed that project manager yet. But all of a sudden you showed up, and wow, what a great candidate. And then next thing you know, I get the Microsoft $5 million. I was like, oh, that's why you showed up at the door. So I'm just telling you, have that faith, right, that if you're doing God's work and he's with you and you're putting him first in your life, you will get through it. And it just comes down to faith.
All right, last question. I love this one too, because when I was around all of your staff a few years ago, there's just an element of excitement. There's an element of people just loved being there. Like you said, E2 lifers, they coined that phrase. So the question is, what are some of the secret sauce things that you do to create the environment you have? Not maybe your core values, not one, but maybe just little practices, things behind the scenes, things that maybe no one would think of. But what's one or two things that you do in your culture that you feel like helps build the special culture that you have?
Okay. So I think our secret sauce is our diversity. And that word is so overused today. I get it, but we are a very diverse group, right? And so when you have diversity, along with inclusion of that diversity, what you get is you got a lot of different ideas from different cultures, from different backgrounds. And ultimately, if you give them that platform of open communication and collaboration, it drives innovation. And I think that's a secret sauce to our company, is that we're very diverse and we value everyone at the same level. The other thing, I mean, we try to do everything we can. We give back to our employees. We have the most giving employees at Eat too. So when people have trauma in their life, which we all do, I'm going through a little trauma with my mom right now. We're there to support. We have arms where we give them extra PTO time. We donate to them for that. We like to have a lot of parties. We like to have, potluck. We like to go to, we play together, right? We work hard together and we play together. And so I just think it's that family feel. We bring the kids into the office. We want to know the extended family, right? We want to get to know them on a personal level, because one of our core values is family-centric. And I think from the beginning, we've been very sensitive to knowing that if your family's happy, like happy wife, happy life type thing, if your family is involved in that, you get greater commitment, you get you get happiness. They know, like, listen, if your family comes first, you need to go to a soccer game, go to the soccer game, all right? We're not gonna micromanage you. You know what your job is, you know what needs to be accomplished. So there's a lot of that freedom too, a little bit as well, that we give them some flexibility on how they can live their personal lives, but enjoy wanting to come to work every day.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kristi.